Hey, my name's Dan Adams. I'm editor-in-chief here at IGN PC, and we're going to talk about a game that I'm sure all of you know has been released at this point, called Battlefield 2. It's a sequel to our 2002 Game of the Year, and it does a really good job bringing the franchise to a new level. It's not quite the same feel of innovation and just like punch in the stomach as the first one was, but it's a really, really fun game, and anybody that's a fan of the series is definitely going to need to pick this one up. One of the biggest new things is teamwork this time around, and it definitely makes the game more exciting when you do have a team that works together and squads that work together. And they've done a lot of things that make this better. One of the biggest things are the balanced kits. There's a lot of different kits this time, and almost every single one of them, with the notable exception of the sniper, are very well balanced. Like, all of the kits have a purpose, not only for their weapons, but also for their special abilities. For instance, the medic actually heals people either by throwing packs on the ground or by holding out their kit and healing everybody around them, while the support will do the same thing with ammo. But all of these guys have a reason to be in a squad. And that's really what makes it fun, because your team will actually work together, they'll communicate well, and you'll really have a sense of being in a team. The thing that makes teamwork actually work is the chain of command. So you actually have squad members on the lowest rung, and then you have squad leaders that will give them commands, and a commander sitting above all of the squad leaders giving everybody commands. The commander mode is a very new thing to Battlefield in general, and is definitely a needed addition. It's not perfect this time around, but it definitely adds a lot to the game. There's a lot of options here, including ordering troops around to defend, to attack, to move places. They can call in special abilities, such as calling in artillery strikes, or calling in supplies for somebody, or just setting up surveillance for a team so they know who's in the area. What they don't have, unfortunately, is an easy way to see people's names on the field, so you don't know who you're giving orders to all the time. Now, there also needs to be a way to assign people to squads, because there's a lot of people that just don't assign themselves to squads. They'll just be sitting there, and there's no way to give these people orders, so they're just kind of useless to a commander. The other thing needed are waypoints, so you can actually tell people to move certain locations and attack from certain directions on areas, and that's just not there. But all in all, commander mode is a great addition. Like, even with its shortcomings, it definitely adds a lot to the game, and it's a lot more strategic now in how troops are moved and where the commander actually wants people to go. General combat is also a lot better this time around, not only for infantry but also for vehicles. Infantry this time around, the weapons feel a lot better, and movement also feels a lot better. There's a new sprint function which allows you to sprint from cover to cover, which is a huge improvement and definitely something that a lot of people enjoy, and including myself. Vehicles are very cool because they still feel very great. Tanks are really thunderous, they're really big, you feel like you're moving around in a big tank. Helicopters are really fun to fly, and a lot easier to fly than they were in Vietnam. And with people in the gunner positions on either of those vehicles, it can be a really deadly combination. The only problem with vehicles are they really do too much damage to infantry. So even just barely nudging somebody will kill them. You know, turning your tank and having somebody stand there will actually kill them. So if an engineer's up trying to fix your tank, and you just kind of rotate around, you will kill them, which is just really stupid. And you know, team killing in general needs a little bit of work. It's definitely a tricky balance issue, but one that probably needs to be addressed in the future. Combat in general, obviously, even with the team killing, is way better this time around. It's a lot more balanced overall in terms of kits and teamwork and vehicles, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to play still. What's different this time around is that there's only one mode of play, and that's Conquest, which is a little sad, because it's definitely fun to every now and again step into deathmatch or team deathmatch, or capture the flag, or even objective modes, which I still think they really need in this game, because I think it would work really well. But it's just not there. It's only Conquest this time around, and Conquest is a whole lot of fun, but I think people are going to wish there was more eventually. There's also single player this time around, but you know, it's really not worth getting this game for single player, because all the maps are there, but it's only 16 players per side, and the bots, while a whole lot smarter than 1942, I mean, they're leaps and bounds over 1942, still do some dumb things that'll really aggravate you. They seem to get confused when moving from place to place, and can in general be a pain. But like I said, a lot better than 1942. The variety of maps you're actually going to be fighting on are a little bit different in variety than they were in Battlefield 1942. In 1942, you definitely had a feel from map to map of, this is a different map that I'm fighting on than the last one, and it had a definite different kind of combat that was going into it. This time around, there's a lot of the same. You know, it's not as big a variety. One of the cool new things about Battlefield 2 also is that there are 3 versions of each map. So you can play 16-player map, 32-player map, or 64-player map. It's really nice to have this kind of an option. The other thing I really want this game to have is a tutorial mode so that players could use, not necessarily for kits and how they work, but for how commander mode works and how to fly vehicles. Because a lot of the time you just get people in games taking helicopters or planes and trying to figure out how to fly them in a game where other people are trying to be, you know, pretty serious about it and trying to work together and win a game, and that just kind of screws up the whole dynamic. Having a flight school sort of thing where you actually had to pass it in order to get into the vehicle might have been kind of a good idea. You know, have it be an unlockable sort of thing. Same thing with commander mode, I think, you know, going over the basic commands and showing, you know, how to throw artillery and how to give commands and how to use all of the equipment would be a really great idea before people actually get in commander. The one thing that would be really cool about the tutorial mode would be if it actually gained a little bit of experience for you and helped you go up in rank and gave you some stats, which would be really nice, because the stats part of the game is actually really, really good. They collect so many different kinds of stats in this game, it's ridiculous. It's a really, really thorough amount of stats that you can peruse. You've also got the chance to go up in rank, which will actually unlock new weapons for you, judging by how many points you have, and you'll be able to get new medals and ribbons and accolades depending on what you've done in the game. The one thing they really need in the stats, though, is a friends list and a search list, because you cannot search for anybody else in your stats. You can only look at your own stats. The interface in general is a bit clunky. The server browser is definitely not in the best shape, and it's really slow. And you know, it also doesn't have a favorites list, which is just amazing to me, because you can't find, like, if you don't remember the name of the server, you can't find it again. So Battlefield 2 is definitely a great sequel to Battlefield 1942. You know, it doesn't provide quite the same punch that the original did, just because it's not as new an idea, but it has a lot of great new features that people are going to enjoy. Teamwork is definitely a big thing in this and makes the game incredibly enjoyable. We're definitely going to be playing the crap out of it, but it does have problems that need to be addressed. There are bugs, there are some technical issues, but you know, generally I definitely recommend this game. You got to go get it if you're a fan of Battlefield, and even if you're not, definitely try the demo, because it deserves it.